and a deeper humanity.
I always argue and indeed believe that legislation is improved by the process of scrutiny in this House. But until the powerful and welcome statement by the noble and learned Lord Brown of Eton under Heywood, who sadly is no longer in his place, I thought no noble lords would be willing to see how persistence against measures in what some have described as popular bills has the consequence of reciprocal persistence of yet stronger measures. So I applaud the noble and learned Lord Brown of Eton under Heywood for his statement, and I would urge other noble lords to take note of what he said. That said, I still urge my noble friend, the Minister, who I commend for the clear and sensitive way he introduced this debate, to listen carefully to those noble lords who seek, with all sincerity, to improve this legislation with the purpose of ensuring in its implementation it is effective in stopping the boats that cross the Channel illegally. But as much as our collective effectiveness relies on ministers listening and taking this House seriously, it also relies on us, your lordships, listening and taking seriously the public who demand that their elected government take action against illegal activity which affects their lives and livelihoods. We often forget that as human beings, we all want what we often deny each other: respect and understanding. And in fact, last night in this chamber, when we were debating amendments on the online safety bill, there was quite a bit of frustration at the lack of understanding from the government in terms of its response to the debates in that House last night. But something which frustrates many of our fellow citizens is the ease with which we demand respect and understanding for ourselves and show it to those who we do not know, ahead of those we live alongside and whose support and cooperation we rely on most. Whether we call them the squeeze middle, just about managing, or the hard-working people who play by the rules, these are the people we rely on to pay their taxes, keep good order in their communities, and uphold British values, which we, those of us in leadership roles, have become shy or are reluctant to promote ourselves. Our fellow citizens are no less compassionate or caring than us, and they too want to and do support people in genuine need. But they don't want their compassion to be taken for granted or taken advantage of. And they don't want us to dictate the terms on which they must, when it is them who always have to pay, whether that's via the growing queues for public services they have little choice over using, the shortage of housing for them and their families, or through the consequential changes to our society which challenge people's sense of status at work and the cohesiveness of their community. My lords, I enjoy great privilege. Not only do I spend a lot of time with powerful and influential people in Westminster and other walks of life and get to hear and learn from their experience and wisdom, I gain the same benefits of wisdom and experience from my close family and friends who ensure I also enjoy and understand a very different world. Unlike most of us, some of them work alongside immigrants from around the world, including people who arrived in the UK on the backs of lorries a few years ago. They too hear some tragic stories, but they hear a whole lot more said, which leads them to make a simple plea when they talk to me, which I relay to this House with their sincerity. Don't assume or believe that everyone attempting to enter our country illegally is a genuine asylum seeker fleeing persecution. My Lords, when we get to committee stage, if noble Lords table amendments about the right to work for asylum seekers, I'll say more about why I oppose that, and I'm worried about the growing numbers of legal migration to do unskilled or low-skilled jobs. And the noble Lord Paddick was right to raise the issue of increasing number of work-study visas, of which I've also heard stories of misuse or abuse. There's far more to the impact of all this than meets the eye, and the noble Baroness Lady Kramer, who's no longer in her place, asked for evidence, and I would say to the noble lady that there's plenty if we're willing to listen. But today, my lords, what I ask is this. How do noble lords opposing the government on this bill think they are helping genuine asylum seekers? How does it help improve the system? Does opposing this bill help restore people's confidence in our country's ability to distinguish between refugees fleeing for their lives and those who would simply like a better life, but are willing to lie and use illegal means to get here? Does it help demonstrate we can and will prioritise the former, not the latter? Does it reassure that we have the necessary support and infrastructure to cope with new arrivals without pitting their needs against those of the communities in which they're put? In short, my lords, how does opposing this bill persuade the public that this House takes seriously all their legitimate concerns rather than ignoring them or dismissing them as the products of ignorance or prejudice? My lords, if the Lib Dems divide the House tonight, and the noble Lord Paddick has already said he will, my noble friend the Minister can most definitely